Hi, I'm Gabby Possible, and I was just interviewed by the Keith Andrew Network. It was so much fun, and I hope that you enjoy the interview. Bye!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 549. I am your host, Keith Andrew, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. I'm here with Ms. Gabriella. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
You're welcome. Hi. I'm glad to be here.
No, the honor is all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels... Actually, let me do that. I messed that up. The whole point of my talk... Hey, anything can happen live, right? The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and to prove to them you can still amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. With that being said, it's going to be a half hour, 33 minutes every time. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I teach animation to adults with autism as my full-time job. On Saturdays, I teach art to children, and I'm also an illustrator on the side as well as a YouTuber. So I do a lot in my free time.
Are you like a book writer, or you just do the artwork?
I just do the artwork, yeah. So I illustrate everything from pieces of my own to commissions that people want me to do. Recently, I just got a job with a company called Canvas Unplugged where they send me news stories, and it's up to me to make paintings and illustrations regarding the stories that they send me.
Oh, that's nice. So would you be interested in, I was thinking about hiring someone to write my book, but would you be interested in doing the artwork?
Yes. Yeah, I would.
No, I appreciate it. I've been going back and forth with it, but I've been looking for someone to work with. But we can talk about that off the air. First question I was going to ask you is, how was life growing up? And when you were in high school and college, were you a study nerd or party animal?
When I was in high school, I was not studying or a party animal. When I was in high school, I didn't really like myself very much, and so most of the time I was actually spending procrastinating and asleep. I learned to study eventually when I realized that those things weren't productive. And I would say that I'm right in the middle. I'm one of the kids that grew up as an underachiever, and only recently in my adult life has that switched to be something in which, in my adult life, recently, I've turned into more of an achiever, because since I know what it's like to feel like you can't really achieve much for whatever reason, I want to be an example for people who feel like that. And in order to do that, I've got to make my own dreams come true. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask, and it's pretty much like what I was saying, it's about hashtag break the labels. It's about turning yourself into an example. Because we live only once, and when we die, it's how you like to be remembered.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, what were some of your favorite sports that you ever did growing up?
My father did not let me do sports growing up because he was afraid that I would break my art hand and that I would ruin my career forever. But whenever I could do a sport, it was usually behind his back. And so whenever I could do a sport, it was ice skating. And I was never good at it. I always fell. And he was right to be afraid that I would break my art hand, because I did break my hand once. But that was because I did something dumb. I did a handstand on top of a soccer ball, so I kind of deserved that. But
actually, that sounds
aside
pretty cool.
from that...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Aside from that, I really liked roller skating the 2 times that I was able to do it at friend's house without him knowing.
But I like to hell handstand on the ball. That's really cool. I like to. Too bad there's no pictures of it.
Right? No, I'm so glad there are no pictures of it because it wasn't successful. That's why I broke my hand.
Then the next question I was going to ask you is that you are a teacher for people with special needs, and that's what
Yes.
the show's about. I'll turn myself into an example. What influenced you to work with people with special needs, and how long have you been working with them?
Well, it actually all started off unexpectedly. In college, I would say last year, I was looking for an internship reluctantly because I didn't really want an internship anywhere. Because all of the internships that I would find would be at design companies where you would be sitting in front of a computer all day doing things that I wasn't interested in. But on a whim, I decided to look for one anyway, and I actually found an internship somewhere called Tierra del Sol in Sunland, California. And it's a gorgeous, beautiful old foundation for adults with all types of special needs and disabilities. They have a farm. They have horses. They get eggs from the chickens to make for breakfast. It's amazing. And they have an entire art department. And so when I saw the ad saying, we need someone to help teach art to adults with disabilities, I thought, that sounds right up my alley because I love helping people that people oftentimes don't understand or have a tendency to look over. And so I thought that might be perfect for me. And when I went and did the internship, I fell in love with the entire industry. I fell in love with the community that I was working for. And so when I graduated from college, I then moved to their sister school, First Street Gallery in Claremont. And I taught art to all types of people with all types of special needs. Everything from cerebral palsy and blindness to Down syndrome and autism and really everything. And now, after a couple of other jobs in different industries, I've actually gone back to teaching adults with special needs. And now I teach animation at Actors for Autism. And so I guess you could say that I've been helping people with special needs for like 2 or 3 years. It's still in the beginning. But I plan to stay at Actors for Autism for quite a while. I hope at least 2 more years.
No, that's really cool. That's really amazing.
Thank you.
Have you ever did you learn anything from working with all those different people with special needs?
Yes. I've learned so much. Oh my goodness. One thing I've learned is that, well, the first lesson came from me. The first lesson happened my very first day of my internship. When it comes to adults with special needs, because everybody's need is different, and because everybody's need might come with a certain set of behaviors or different traits that might be different from yours, I realized the first day of my internship that I was a little bit afraid because I didn't want to hurt anybody or make anybody upset. But since everybody was very different, I didn't know how my behavior was going to affect anybody or my presence or just me being new. But the person who was in charge of me, the lead art teacher, she just said, whenever you're ready, just go ahead. And I was like, wait, what? Are you sure? Just go ahead. But what if I make someone upset? What if my presence is just, upsetting? And she was like, no, you'll be fine. And she just threw me in like it was nothing. And what I learned was, yeah, it was nothing. It was all a complex that I had made in my head because I just didn't know any better. And I was just ignorant at the time because I didn't have any experience. And I've learned that everybody really is different. And it's taught me to be very empathetic and patient. And that even people with special needs can totally BS you and be the worst students, and you have to know when to cut someone out of their own behaviors in order to make them more productive.
Well, I can make a list of that.
Yeah, exactly. I find that a lot of people who don't work in my field don't understand that my students and everybody that I've worked with, most of my students have senses of humor just like mine. And so I find that laughing whenever they might make a repeated mistake, or helping them understand that, yeah, the fact that you can't open up that browser is kind of ridiculous in a funny way. It makes them feel so much more comfortable than if I was to just look at them and be like, oh, why is that such a hard time? No, actually, the more that they laugh, the more it helps them, in particular with their memory, to be able to do the thing next time. It's different for everybody, but I'm just saying about how it works for my students, at least.
That's true. A lot of people say my presence is a little unsettling.
Really? Yours? People just don't understand.
Or did us assholes about too? I live with a couple.
That too. Well, the people who are unwilling to understand are assholes. Sometimes people who just don't understand have never experienced anything like it.
That's true, and hey, it's not my karma. It's not your karma either.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, the next question I was going to ask was, I saw that you are an actress. How many years have you been an actress, and who was your inspiration?
Maybe you saw actress. Okay, I have been a live streamer, and I have been a YouTuber since, I think, 2014. I'm not a professional actress in any sense, but I was definitely a live streamer with my own show for about a year. And that was for a company called Sonic Box, where I had my own 8-hour arts-based live show every single day in the company. The inspiration for that was really, well, when I was little, I told my parents I wanted to be an artist, a singer, an actress, and a dancer all at the same time. And so I don't think the performing side of me has ever really left. My personality's kind of more outgoing than a lot of artists might naturally be. So part of me has always wanted to be on camera simply to reach other people more than I can through pen and paper. And so I really liked doing a live show because I would get to talk to people every single day and reach them and affect their days through art and through making things like cardboard spaceships and jetpacks out of soda bottles and paintings on cardboard. The company itself, Sonic Box, kind of crashed and burned within the year that it started. So that's done. But I still have my YouTube channel, Gabby Possible, and I plan on making so many videos and good content that eventually one day I will have a Netflix show and sit on Conan and the world will know Gabby Possible. But until that day, I'm chilling. How you doing, Keith?
Well, if you ever become famous, hook me up.
Of course, yes.
But it's funny you mention you're a YouTuber. I was a YouTuber. Long story about that. Basically, got my account turned off. Stupidity. But let me ask you about this. There's something called, I don't know what it is, but it's supposedly some kid who has his own toy line that's named Ryan's World.
Okay.
Or something Ryan. How do these up and coming, and these kids are like 4 or 5 years old, but they have toys based on them. It's kind of like, okay, if he has a disability or, he's sick or dying, the kid's completely normal. And meanwhile, he has a toy line based on him. So I'm like, wait, you're on YouTube. You have no toys. I was on YouTube since 2012, not doing the show, but I was on there doing other things. But I don't have a toy line. So how, and so you have Ryan's World, you have JoJo, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, JoJo.
And then you have a couple other YouTubers, but now have toys. But yet here we are, you work with people with special needs, and I have a talk show, turning myself into an example, and yet we don't have any toys, so that doesn't make any sense.
I would say that regardless of the fact that our intentions are very noble and good,
right,
some things we might just not be doing right.
That's true.
Sometimes it's not the fact that things are unfair. Sometimes instead of thinking that the game is rigged, we have to think to ourselves, yeah, the game has a system and I need to figure out what that system is so that I can beat it. So you're right. We have very noble causes, and you seem like a fantastic person, and you should have a toy line. But you know what? If you want a toy line, you need to figure out what those toys would even be, what your brand would even be for that, who would want to play with those things. Like, there's things that you and I need to figure out in order to get ahead in the game. And so, until we're doing things exactly like those other YouTubers are that are doing those things, I don't think we can say that the game is rigged until we're exactly the same as they are. So hey, you and I just have to keep on pushing. That's what we have to do.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say, if you want to work out a partnership, I would love that.
What kind of partnership? A creative partnership?
Yeah, probably. And see where it goes, right?
Well, I would love to keep in contact with you and make creative projects with you. Absolutely.
And it's funny because I looked at the phone and our guest was supposed to be a double interview, but now, let's see, we started about 15 minutes in he's like, oh, I'm ready now. Like, well, it's stupid to do the interview completely over again, so I can just catch up with them after.
Yeah.
But, whatever, you can't please everyone. And I'm trying to find, actually, this is the next question I was going to ask you, on this subject. I'm finding something to replace YouTube because I was on YouTube and then I got it taken away from me on my own stupidity. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr.
Are you on Twitch?
Yes and no. It's there, but I don't use it. Vizio, not Vizio. Vio, whatever the hell that is. It's like YouTube, but you have to pay for it. I'm on there. I'm kind of like a bad ras. Some people would say I pop up like a bad case of hemorrhoids because I just pop out of nowhere. And a bad joke. But yeah, you name social media.
It's not a bad joke. It makes me laugh.
I appreciate it. At least you're laughing, so that's good. Could be worse. It could make you cry. But you name it, I'm on everywhere on social media. But my main go-to is LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm starting to use Instagram. But the question I was going to ask you is, can social media make you or break you? And with everything you accomplish in your life, how do you feel about it?
I think social media can do both. It can make you and break you. We all know that, like, one bad word on Twitter and your entire career is just absolved within a minute, which is really scary, and I don't like canceled culture at all. But I can also tell you that social media has been a blessing in a lot of different ways. I recently just got back from a trip to a private island in the middle of Italy that somebody invited me to because of social media. What happened was, in March, I started waking up at 6 a.m. and just making portraits in my sketchbook with watercolors of people who inspired me and putting them on Instagram just because I felt creatively stuck and I just needed to draw every day. More and more people saw them, and one person that I drew, Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and Big Magic, she saw the portrait that I did of her, she reposted it to her page, and a lady from France named Julie, who is a narrative strategist, asked me if I would like to come to a private island for a week and figure out my next path in life. And I went, what? Yes, I would. And so I just got back from that trip, and it was the most magical experience that I've had so far in my 25 years. So social media can do both of those things. It can make people see you and make people understand you, depending on how you phrase it and help people see it. And then it can also, like, completely rip you apart.
Well,
it just depends.
If I may, I don't mean to interrupt, Skype cuts in and cuts out. And the first thing I was going to ask you is, that's really cool that you have this talent. I had a talent, I guess my talent is not shutting up. But I don't know. But I was going to say, didn't your alarm bells go off when this person came out of nowhere and says, "Hey, you will come to my private island?" And it's kind of like, alright, but how did you know it was a private island? How do you know it wasn't a scam or a front? How did you verify?
She actually said, when I was on the island, she said that a lot of people say that same thing. That a lot of people, when she does offer this amazing experience, will say, I don't know, it's too good to be true, it could be a scam. They're afraid of the opportunity. And so I was afraid for maybe a minute, but then I clicked on her website link. And I researched her, and I made sure that she was a real person. And I saw that, she hosts a bunch of retreats to different places every year, and it just all looked very legitimate. And she also didn't ask for any money. She was giving this to me. She asked for work in exchange, like 2 portraits and some watercolor illustrations, but she didn't ask me for any money. Because when somebody comes to you and just offers you something for your work and doesn't ask for much in return, I think it's just better to believe that you might be worth it. If worst to worst comes, I'd be dead, I guess, sure. But then I wouldn't feel anything because I'd be dead. But I'm not dead. So
well, that's one way of looking at it. When you're dead, you're dead.
Exactly.
Now, the other question you mentioned, I just completely forgot what it was. It doesn't matter. We can get to it if it comes up. And so, how long was it? Was it like a big tropical island? Was she rich? Oh, that's what I was going to ask you after you tell us.
The trip was 1 week. The trip was 1 week in Italy. I don't know if she's rich or not. The way that it works is that she will find people who have islands, who have wonderful resorts, and she'll negotiate with them. And so it's not really her island, it's someone else's island, but they're allowing us to host this retreat there. And she basically helped us figure out the roadblocks that we put in front of ourselves that keep us from being the best creatives that we want to be. And I'm so appreciative and happy that I got to experience that. Waking up in a foreign country completely by yourself with new people in a new experience where you really have no idea how you got there in the first place is very surreal. And I think it can happen to anybody. Like, I'm not special. Like, it can happen to anybody. So.
Hope it happens to me, but it sounds like a bad acid trip.
It might be. It might have just been that I just woke up right now like, oh my God, I was on drugs this whole time.
It's true. Now, with that being said, I usually ask this question at the end, but I'm going to ask you now. Is when I first... Actually, I'm going to save it for the end. Actually, It's up to you. You want to hear it now or you want to hear it at the end?
Let's hear it now since there's so much suspense.
When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And I will ask you again right towards the end, but it was the other part. But when I first approached you to be a guest, did you think it was a scam? Did you think it was a front? What was your honest opinion?
My first reaction upon reading the email was that I didn't understand. And I saw that there were a couple of typos and grammatical mistakes. And so I thought to myself, based on everything that I've been taught, I thought, I don't know, is it a scam because there's typos? And so I've been taught, if there's typos, then it's a scam or it's not a professional or something like that. But then I thought to myself, wait, Gabby, stop. He literally says in the email that this is a show about someone with a learning disability or hosted by someone with a learning disability. And so I know as a teacher what it takes for my students to write anything without at least one grammatical error here and there. I know the effort that it takes. And so I told myself, Gabby, you know what? it's different for you. There's a difference between the way that you might write an email and the way that he might write an email, because it's a different brain, and that's okay. In no way better or worse. It's just a different direction. And I don't know how long it took to get to a point where you might have been able to do that independently and grow the courage to send it to hundreds of people or however many people you reach out to. And I'm trying to say that as respectfully as possible, because I'm trying to be honest too, because I know how much effort it takes for my students. Like one of my students, it takes him an hour to write a sentence. And so I thought to myself, you know what? This is probably very professional, and I appreciate the courage and the effort to even reach out, because I've never gotten an email from someone with a learning disability before. And it's most likely because, it's such a scary experience to even send it for one of my students. So I was like, you better respond to him. You better do this interview, because this is awesome that he even reached out, all right? If that makes sense, I hope it does.
I agree with you. A lot of people think it's difficult. Some people, my own family think it's a joke, but they don't take it seriously. But, like I mentioned what you were saying, I sent this a couple thousand. I've been doing it since 2013, so 5.5 years. And you know what's funny? You said there were a couple errors, there was typos and grammar. There's this thing where you can download for free. It's called Grammarly.
Yeah, Grammarly. I get YouTube ads for it all the time.
And you know what's funny? I downloaded it, and I use it on everything now. I said, okay, I want to see how bad this is. And I fixed it, but you said it was still bad. But according to them, it's absolutely perfect. So, whatever, you have the right to your opinion, but it's kind of like, whatever.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just like a lowercase letter or a capital letter or a miss of a period. It might not have been like, cat versus dog type of grammar.
Yeah, I usually when I type, I forget to do capital, so just have a capital K in it, so just have a dot, because I do runoff thing. I just go, like diarrhea of the mouth, and let's go type, and then that's it. It's like, all right. But I'm a work in progress.
We all are.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and what's the last 5 minutes left of the show? I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay, sure.
Vanessa Lina. Adrian Marlowe. I'm Cynthia Bastinet. I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith. My name is Alexandra Bowie. This is Amelia Clover. Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Nicole Brown.
Meg Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell. Hi, everybody, I'm Brooke from
Hi, I'm Brinford.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Briza.
I'm Cindy Hogan. I'm Courtney Sinello.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Danielle Marcia.
Hi, everyone, I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Crona.
Hi,
I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Patrell.
My name is Turi.
My name is Julia Brankovich.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amato.
Hi, my name is Laura Putton.
Hi, I'm Laura Chapanis.
Hi, everyone, I'm Melissa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, a.k.a. Fuchsia. I'm Rachel Rivera.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Winder.
Hi, everyone, this is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Showtana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show. It was super fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 549. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Gabriella. I just want to say thank you for putting up with me and joining us on this beautiful day. Well, beautiful night anyway.
It's all right. I'm in a hallway in my school, and so thank you for putting up with the fact that I'm in a hallway in my school and not in a set.
Not a problem. Everyone's a work in progress.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, since I'm driving the seat for the next 5 minutes, I wanted to ask you a couple questions too.
Go for it. I have no cards up my sleeve, so whatever you want to say.
If you were to tell me the biggest, craziest, doesn't matter how crazy, goal you have for either your show or yourself, what would that be? You don't have to think of one that's realistic. Just think of one that you really want.
I actually thought you were going to say your biggest mistake you ever made in your life.
No!
But, I do have a lot of those. And some people don't let it go when they should.
We'll focus on your dreams.
It's true. What I want out of my life is to become... I know it sounds like an oxymoron. I want to become famous. And when I die, I want to be remembered for something. Because... my brother makes fun of me saying, I always say, it's the thought that counts. No matter if it's something big or something small or tiny, whatever the hell it is. It's the thought that counts. And everyone makes fun of me for that. Says, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. But it's true. It is the thought that counts. And I just want to be remembered saying, yeah, Keith didn't become famous, but... he's dead now. But one thing I do remember from him is he was nice enough to give me an opportunity to make a new friend. He was nice enough to let me be a guest on his talk show. He was nice enough to give me some words of encouragement, or whatever it may be. When I'm dead, I like to be remembered for something. So, yeah, a lot of people say, you want to become famous, big whoop. I think there's like billions of people in the world, so everyone wants to do that. But it's just, I want to do something that's meaningful. Something that's different. And for the longest time, using my disability as a crutch, I just wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to prove, to my family that, you said I was never going to amount to something, but look at what I was able to accomplish. I want to prove to every single person that said, no, he's a loser, he's a stalker, he's this, he's that, he's never going to amount to anything. He's just a big wet fart, and whatever. But I'm going to show you, look at what I was able to do.
Well, I can tell you that without this interview, even without interacting with you, the email alone was proof enough to me that you're doing exactly what you're already saying you want to do. If you really want to be remembered, I think you have to confront the idea that putting yourself out there is going to bring a lot of assholes that might not understand you and want to say lots of bad words and bad things to you. But you should put yourself out there because you seem like a wonderful beam of light, and more people should be able to talk to you and have fun. You're like the Mr. Rogers of, learning disabilities. Mr. Rogers with curse words and learning disabilities. Let's just see what we're going to do today. That could be really fun. And I can imagine, what would a Twitch live stream of just you doing whatever it is that you want and talking about whatever it is you want, even with just one person that might listen at first. What could that look like? I don't know. I can just see you doing so much. And, fuck your family. Your family sounds like a bunch of assholes. Your brother sounds like an asshole. Your friends sound like assholes. Where you living sounds like a pit of the earth. But one day, if you put yourself out there enough and just accept that being different is going to come with a bucket shit of hate, but also a bucket shit of love, depending on who you expose yourself to, I think that you're going to be able to do a bunch of amazing things.
Well, first off, I don't want to expose myself to anyone because I'm not that type of person. but also, out of everyone in my family, my mother is the only one that supports me. Or
Good.
unless she's just
At least
humoring me, or that too.
Well, at least you have that. At least there's that. And plus, everybody that you've ever interviewed supports you. I support you.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I did make a lot of mistakes along the way, and not all my interviews are going to be perfect. My last interview that I did before you, my disability was showing more, and I was kind of had like brain farts, multiple farts in my head. But I'm not Derek Jeter. I'm not AAA Rod, where you gotta constantly hit a home run after a home run. You're gonna get some good with some bad, and all of it is a learning experience. And either people are going to support you, or they gotta think you're a big wet fart. And a lot of people think I'm just a fart in the wind, or a fly by night. If you're a Russ fan, but I'm gonna show you. This is what, and I swear to God on my life, I want to do this until the day I die. I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm not saying that to be funny. This is what I do because my dad likes to remind me of my failures. That my brother works at a store, and he's been there for 12 years. And it's like, wow, you worked there for 12 years. That's funny. That's the same amount of jobs Keith had in a year. And it's kind of like...
That's so cool that you got to have 12 jobs in a year. You got 12 different experiences.
Yeah, because I'm getting fired from it. I couldn't keep my mouth shut. But it's true. My family likes to know all the failures and possibilities. But it's just... I'm showing you, I've been doing this for 5.5 years on my own, by myself. This is what I want to do. And it's a work in progress. I really don't know what you want me to say or how to explain it.
You don't have... No, I don't want you to say it any type of way. What you've said is beautiful. I think it's important to remember that, you say that when you had your previous interview that you had a couple of brain farts and that people have to accept that with you it might be ups and downs and works in progress. But just remember that the same principle applies to everybody. I might make those same mistakes in any interview or in any life experience that I have. It'll just be a different type of mistake. I won't make the same kinds of mistakes that you'll make because we're not the same type of person.
Right.
But I'm still going to make mistakes, and they're going to be bad. You might not make the same mistakes, and that's cool. So just remember, you're not alone.
Actually, you just reminded me something when you went, I have a funny story I like to tell you. But, trying to find the words real fast without going overtime. And the first one is, even a customer, I won't mention this name where I work on air, but I can tell you afterwards. There's like, okay, today is Thursday, so Tuesday. No, was I working Tuesday? Yes, I was off Tuesday. Wednesday, yesterday. I can't even think straight. Maybe I am drunk. But so yesterday I was working, and it was early in the morning, so a lot of old people came in. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I was helping this old woman, and one behind her said, I wish people were more like you. You're so nice. Isn't he nice? He's really nice. I went, well, there are nice people, because I felt bad. There were a couple co-workers around. I heard that. I said, well, there are a couple nice people that work here, and there's a couple undesirables that work here as well. But there are a lot of nice people who work here. And she said, yes, but you're an exception because you're purposely putting yourself out there to make sure you're different than them. And I said, you know what, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm a talk show host, and what I do, like I work in a part-time job, if I did something stupid in a part-time job, that will bounce back to me from my talk show. So
okay.
Whatever I do in my life, I always do it professionally. Of course, I make mistakes. I'm not a robot. But, I always, prove to you I can stem out something. But the funny story I want to tell you real fast, then we can wrap up, is I have no filter. And make a long story short. And this woman said to me, do I really have to go over to this cash register behind you to get a pack of cigarettes? Can you just go and get me a pack of cigarettes? And she was giving me a hard time. She wouldn't shut up about it. It's been a hard time. So I went over to my associate and said, hypothetically, if I showed a pack of cigarettes at my register, what would happen? She said, "You will get fired." And I turned to that woman and said, "And there you go."
Perfect response. Gorgeous response. Love it.
And
Emmy nominated.
well, here's the stupid part that I did. I gave her my 2 cents. And I said, smoking's not really that good for you. And she said, "I don't need to be lectured by somebody like you."
Ugh. Well, I mean, you fucked up and she fucked up. You should have kept your mouth shut about the smoking cigarettes aren't good for you, and she should have kept her mouth shut about just everything in general. So it was a good learning experience.
But the reason I tell you this story is like you want bad. It's because there's a part where she wanted a cigarette, and I was like, "Am I helping an old woman or am I helping Smeagol?" Cigarettes. It's whatever. It's like whatever, Smeagol, go smoke your pack out there. Or you want to die, even die. But it's kind of like that's why I have no filter. So if something pops in my head, I'm gonna say it. But but wrapping up, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But the first one is, I asked you before, but I'm gonna re-add to the end. When I first approached you to be a guest on my show, what was your first reaction? And after being a guest on my show, do you still feel the same way as you did in the beginning? And would you recommend it to other people?
I feel exactly how I felt when I realized that my perception of the email was wrong. So in the beginning, I may have had one perception of the email, but remember that perception changed very quickly. And so my perception now is the same. I think that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, that you're doing a fantastic job. I think that you're self-deprecating as absolute hell, and that's a result of the environment that you live in.
Yeah, you're right.
And I get it, because I'm self-deprecating too. The only difference is, if you can remember that nobody sees the things that you hate about yourself until you tell them, and then they see it, it's whatever. I would absolutely recommend this to everybody. I would love to share the show as soon as you post a link, and I'm just grateful. I loved being here, and I think that if you put yourself out there more, you'll get exactly where you want to go.
Oh, absolutely. And my last question for you is, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn?
God.
Are you
No.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Oh my God. I'm so small. On YouTube, I think it's something like 3,066. On Twitter, it's less than 150. And on Instagram, I think it's about 800. So if I got a link to this, I would be able to post it everywhere and at least get 50 people interested.
But what is your Twitter name and Instagram name so people can follow you?
My Twitter and Instagram names are both Gabby Possible. Gaby Possible. Just like YouTube.
And like Kim Possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest.
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Yeah, I would love to work with you more.